women of the kingdom and the power of silent influence, dear ladies, sisters, and beloved women, listen carefully. What I'm about to share with you today is not a lesson. It's a reminder from the heavens about who you truly are. I'm not here to teach you how to be a woman. I'm here to unleash you back to the original blueprint designed by the Creator. And to do that, I must start from the source from society, not from culture, not from the wounds you've endured, but from Genesis. So God created mankind in his own image, in the image of God. He created them, male and female, he created them. Genesis 1:27. He did not create woman from dust. He created man from dust, but he created woman from the essence of man bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. And this does not make woman lesser, it makes her more refined, more distilled, designed for influence, without collision, born to be suitable for a kingdom mission that was set from the beginning. Do you see it? Woman is not a backup plan. You are part of the original design. God didn't create woman because man was lonely. He created you because the kingdom mission required someone capable of bearing life, not just biologically, but spiritually. And then he said, I will make a helper suitable for him. Genesis 2:18. Don't let the word helper deceive you. In Hebrew, that word is Ezer. And Ezer is a term used for God himself. He is the helper of Israel. Psalm 33-20, 115 to 9:11. No one dares say God is inferior. Helping does not mean being lesser. It means bringing what is lacking. It means filling the gap in the mission. Woman was created to complement, not to compete. Kingdom principle. Position does not determine, value proposed does. And the purpose of a woman is to complete not just man, but the kingdom environment where she is placed in the family, in society, in her generación. The question for you today is, are you living as one who is placed or as one who is drifting? You are the solution to a gap. You are the answer to a crisis. You were not created to stand out by volume. You were born to influence by presence, like salt it's silent. But it changes the entire dish. Like yeast, it's not loud, but it leavens the whole dough. Kingdom women don't need to step onto the stage to direct the entire play from behind the scenes. And this is where the journey begins. Recognizing your unseen purpose. You don't need to speak up to be heard. You just need to stand in the right position to change the atmosphere. Look at your life, your family, in your environment. It's not random. That is the sphere of influence you've been assigned. Let me lead you to the next part where we will explore the kingdom strategy. God has uniquely designed for you the power of influence, not through a microphone, but through the spiritual atmosphere you carry. Are you ready? Dear sisters, if the previous part helped you recognize that you are an intentional design of the kingdom, this section will show you that God didn't just create you with purpose. He embedded within you a profoundly powerful system of influence, one that doesn't require you to shout, hold a microphone, or dominate a platform. Because in the kingdom, some powers don't come from noise. They come from standing in the right position. Some influences don't need spotlights. They need the right atmosphere. And women, in the kingdom's design are experts at creating atmospheres. The wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands. The foolish one tears hers down. Proverbs 14. This isn't just a social proverb. This is a kingdom declaration. Women have the power to build or to destroy, not with muscle, but with atmosphere. Every kingdom woman is a climate architect. You don't need to say anything, but your presence brings peace or pressure. Your sweetness can soothe a troubled soul, but your bitterness can silently destroy an entire lineage. You don't need loud displays to express power, because your beauty should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. Peter 3:4. When God describes a woman of value, he doesn't talk about her appearance, but her spirit, quiet, gentle yet strong and steadfast. That's the kingdom strategy. You don't need to seize control to have influence. You just need to stand in your role. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. Matthew 3:33. This is how the kingdom operates. Silently but irresistibly. That is the picture of you, kingdom woman. You are yeast. You don't need to be seen. You just need to be present. And wherever you are, change must happen. I want you to hear this with your soul. A kingdom woman with the right spirit, the right attitude, and the right faith can change a hard-hearted husband, a rebellious child, even an entire region. Scripture teaches that a godly woman, through her holy conduct, can win over an unbelieving husband without a single sermon. 1 Peter 3:1. Because the kingdom doesn't need a loud voice to shake things up. It needs a living example to transform. And you are that example. The question is, what atmosphere are you carrying? When you walk into a room, does the atmosphere lift or sink? When you speak, do others feel at peace or stressed? Are you letting kingdom yeast rise? Or are you letting invisible toxins spread? Because silent influence is real. There are women who never step onto a pulpit but raise an entire generation of preachers. There are wives who say little but enable their husbands to become kingdom leaders they never dreamed they could be. There are mothers who aren't famous, but all of heaven knows their names because they create the atmosphere for their children to step into their destiny. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. A kingdom woman doesn't need a microphone because she is the microphone. Every word she speaks, every action she takes, every attitude she carries as a kingdom proclamation, shaping the spiritual environment. But to operate in kingdom influence, you must abandon worldly thinking, where influence is about control. The kingdom teaches that influence is about serving, about being present, about loving without demanding, about being wise without arguing. And this is the bridge to the next part. Because if you don't understand the kingdom strategy for influence, you'll be deceived by the world's strategy for influence, which calls itself liberation, but is actually a new set of chains. Dear beloved sisters, if the previous section showed you the power of silent influence, now I must be real with you. There is a war happening. Not with bombs and bullets, but with ideas, not on the streets, but in your mind It doesn't destroy your house with a sledgehammer. It destroys you with thoughts. And that is the true battlefield of our time. Your mind. And women are the primary target because the enemy knows if it can distort a woman's thinking, it can destroy an entire generation. It doesn't need to kill women. It just needs to make them doubt their design, doubt their purpose, doubt their kingdom essence. What does Scripture say? Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because if you conform to this world, you will act like the world and forget that you are a citizen of a higher kingdom. So, what is being imposed on women's minds today? The first lie, equality means sameness. The world says to be respected, women must be like men, be strong like men, lead like men, be independent like men. But what does the kingdom say? In the kingdom, equality doesn't mean sameness. Equality means equal value but different functions. Men and women don't need to be the same to be equally valuable. An eye and an ear are both vital, but they don't function the same. God didn't create women to be copies of men. He created women as an independent ecosystem to do what men cannot. The world wants you to reject femininity, but the kingdom wants you to rise in your design. The second lie, freedom is needing no one. Modern media teaches women don't need anyone. Don't depend. Independence is ultimate strength. But what is the kingdom truth? True freedom isn't needing no one. It's knowing who is destined to walk with you. True freedom isn't isolation. It's knowing how to unite with the right person in the right season for the right mission. Because if freedom means living alone forever, why did God say, it is not good for man to be alone? Genesis 2:18. God didn't create humanity for isolation. He created us for unity. The isolation the world calls self-reliance, the kingdom calls straying from the flock. The third lie, gender is a choice. And society today preaches you can be any gender you want. Gender is a feeling, not biology. It's a personal definition, not a divine design. Jad. But I ask you, who created you? If God created you, you don't have the right to define yourself. You only have the right to discover your essence, to recreate it. Psalm 139:14. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You are not an accident. You are a purposeful creation. And design is never outdated. Only human perception goes astray. The fourth lie, career is more important than family. Often, there's a subtle spirit creeping into this generation. If you're just a wife or mother, you're missing out. You must have something for yourself. You must go out and earn money to have value. I'm not against careers. I champion kingdom women using their gifts. But if your career makes you sacrifice your children, neglect your husband, or grow cold in your home, that's not a kingdom calling. The kingdom isn't against careers, it's against misplaced priorities. The family is the first institution God established before the church, before government. That's why Satan attacks the family first. You are a kingdom woman. You have the authority to choose the right order. The fifth lie, value lies in appearance as any social media, ads, entertainment, everything tells women, you must be beautiful by this standard. You must have that body. You must be validated by likes. But the kingdom says true beauty comes from the spirit, from virtue, from fearing the Lord. Proverbs 31. 30. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And you don't need to chase a virtual mold. You are the mold heaven designed. You don't need surgery to be recognized. You need mind renewal to live rightly. Why do I call this a battlefield? Because thoughts are weapons. Ideas are missiles. And a woman's mind is the trench. If you don't guard your mind, the enemy will invade without an invitation. 2 Corinthians 10:4-5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. Dear sisters, this is the time to arm yourself, not with makeup, but with kingdom knowledge. Not with emotional reactions, but with the living, powerful word. Not to argue with the world, but to protect your generation from being sucked into lies. And in the next part, I won't just warn you anymore. I will rebuild the true image. We will together paint the kingdom picture of a woman, the enhancer, the reflector, the life giver. I too, dear beloved sisters, if the previous part helped you identify the lies dominating the world, now it's time for what the kingdom always does. Not just tear down, but rebuild. Because you cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. You cannot become a kingdom woman while carrying a worldly mindset. So today, I'm not here to boost your emotions. I'm here to restructure your identity. I'm not here to say you're good enough by society's standards. I'm here to tell you, you are who heaven defines you to be. The kingdom doesn't elevate women with declarations. It elevates women with purpose. No one needs to empower you. God empowered you from Genesis 1:27. God created mankind in his own image, male and female. He created them and the brood. You bear God's image, lacking nothing. He didn't create you to be a backdrop for someone else's rise. He created you to carry a portion of the kingdom vision in a way no man can. So, who is a kingdom woman? A kingdom woman is an enhancer. She enriches and multiplies everything entrusted to her. God didn't give you a title. He gave you the ability to multiply. You receive one, you return 10. You don't seize man's authority. You complete what's lacking. You receive a seed, you return a child. You receive words. You return a family atmosphere. You receive your husband's vision. You turn it into reality. A kingdom woman doesn't need to do everything. Just do it right, in the right place, at the right time, in the right way. And when you do it right, everything you touch multiplies. A kingdom woman is a reflector mirror reflecting God's true image and the kingdom leader in her life. Your husband looks to you to know how he's leading. Your children look to you to understand how God sees them. Your community looks to you to see if Christ is real. You are a secondary light, but you can shine the true presence of the King. A kingdom woman doesn't compete for the spotlight because she knows the moon has no light of its own but reflects the sun's light. Even in the darkest night, a kingdom woman is a life giver. Births not just biological children, but generations, dreams, communities, and influence. You are an incubator, a spiritual womb. Remember this. Everything a woman receives, she has the ability to birth something greater. Test it. Plant love in her. She births a healing atmosphere. Plant encouragement in her. She births renewed faith. Plant offense in her. She births lifelong wounds. You were designed to reproduce. The question is, what are you birthing? A kingdom woman doesn't just birth children. She births contexts, ideas, legacies. That's why the enemy doesn't fear your beauty. It fears your spiritual womb, because it knows if you conceive a vision, you will birth a kingdom generation. So instead of attacking you externally, it attacks you internally, making you doubt the abundance within you. You are destined to multiply. But if you don't know who you are, you'll multiply the wrong things. Dear kingdom woman, it's time to choose again what you will nurture. Choose again the source from which you receive seed. Choose again who you allow to plant thoughts. Choose again the spaces you let influence your spirit. Proverbs 31 gives you the model. A woman who excels at home thrives in business, fears the Lord, and is praised by her husband and children. And it's not because she tries too hard, but because she lives according to her design. Stop trying to become some version you saw online. You don't need to be like anyone else. You just need to be right. Right? With the version God envisioned before the foundation of the world. And if you walk rightly, everything else will be added to you. But I'm not stopping here, because the kingdom doesn't just want you to know who you are. It wants you to operate in it. Not on a stage, not in applause, but from the quiet place where no one sees you, but you shake all of heaven. Next. Part 5, rising in silence. Kingdom commitment from behind the scenes. Because true power doesn't need recognition to operate. It operates from the hidden place where you and God meet to birth an unshakable generation. Dear sisters of the kingdom, now that you know who you are, now that your kingdom identity has been rekindled, now that you know you don't need to fight or mimic anyone to have value, it's time to act. Not in the way the world urges you to rise up. Not with hashtag campaigns or social media outrage, but with a quiet power that shakes the gates of hell. I call it kingdom influence from behind the scenes. Do you remember Esther? She had no pulpit. She had no microphone. She had no apostolic title. She didn't go online to voice her opinion. Well, but when Esther stood in the right position at the right time with the right attitude, an entire nation was saved. She didn't need to shout to have influence. She just needed to be present with the right identity in the right place. And the king nodded. Heaven's plan was executed. History was rewritten. Do you know why? Because God uses women not as noise, but as strategy, not as weapons, but as gateways, not as fortresses, but as atmospheres. He doesn't need you to dominate. He needs you to shape. Matthew 6:6. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Amzeh. Dear sisters, the reward of a kingdom woman isn't in fame, but in faithfulness And not in what people see, but in what God sees. I'm said, there are women who are never invited to the pulpit, but they're the reason pastors don't give up. There are mothers no one knows by name, but they are the reason their children shake the world. I'm reminded of what Paul said to Timothy. I'm reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, 2 Timothy 1-5. Dear kingdom mothers, you may be cooking, cleaning, rocking a baby, scrubbing floors, while shaping a generation of Timothys, dear kingdom wives. You may be living with a hard-hearted husband, but you are God's arm in his life, so that one day he will stand firm on the platform you've prayed for. You don't need to step onto the stage. You just need to stand in your position. And from behind the scenes, you can shift the entire context. Why doesn't the world understand this power? Because the world glorifies visible action, but the kingdom glorifies unseen faithfulness. I3. The world teaches the louder you are, the righter you are. Oh, but the kingdom teaches the deeper you obey, the longer you influence. Because kingdom influence doesn't depend on you being allowed. It depends on you being appointed. Esther 4:14. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Dear sisters, who knows if it's not for these children? This community, this moment that you've been placed in the background today, the background of a nursery, the background of a husband doing difficult work, the background of a classroom, a salon, a small prayer group in the neighborhood. You think you're anonymous, but to heaven, you're strategic. You're the control room. You're the coordination center where kingdom life and atmosphere are shaped. I end this sermon not with a shout, but with a question. Are you ready to rise but not step onto the stage? Are you ready to live powerfully but not demand the spotlight? Are you ready to influence without anyone knowing your name? Because when you live in your kingdom identity like this, God will write your name on the golden record of those who laid the foundation for the next generation. You don't need a spotlight. You need true fire. You don't need applause. You need a mark on a generation. And that is true kingdom influence. Rise upright where you are and let the earth know that kingdom women are ready. Because if you don't rise, who will? And if you don't rise now, how many more generations must wait? Rise in silence. Rise in power. Rise in destiny. And remember, heaven is counting every quiet act you perform like silent flames burning through the darkness of this age. Amen. Don't defill the empty